Have you ever stopped to consider how precisely life places you exactly where you need to be? At the exact moment you need to hear something different, something that's been circling inside you for a while, but only now, here, today, makes complete sense? Maybe you found this video searching for answers about quantum manifestation, or maybe you weren't even thinking about that at all, and something, a subtle feeling, an unexpected synchronicity, brought you here. Tell me, doesn't that seem curious? Don't you feel deep down that there are messages written just for you, as if the universe is using every resource to make sure you don't ignore them? Some say quantum manifestation is just coincidence, chance, mental gymnastics without roots. But if you pay attention, there are patterns, signals, small coincidences reminding you that nothing is completely random. There are moments when your inner world and the outer world align, and for a few seconds, everything makes sense, even if you can't explain it. Right now, as you hear my voice, maybe part of you senses that something important is starting to activate. It's not just curiosity, it's recognition. That feeling that there's more for you, that your search has direction, even when you can't see it. Today, I want to speak to you not just from reason, but from that intimate place where logical certainties don't reach. Because if you're here, you're part of a silent minority, those who don't settle for half a life, those who feel an inexplicable calling, a hunger for meaning beyond the visible. What you're about to hear isn't coincidence or simple information. It's confirmation that your desire for change is legitimate and that you didn't arrive here by accident. But before we continue, give yourself a small gift. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Not because I say so, but because this space is a refuge for seekers like you, where quantum manifestation isn't just theory, it's lived experience. Let yourself be carried. Allow this feeling of destiny to settle in and ask yourself, what is it that, even though you can't see it, you know is searching for you? The answer, I promise, will appear as we move forward together. The truth. Your brain has been hiding from you. Sometimes the hardest thing to accept isn't that radical transformation is possible, but that this possibility has always been within reach, waiting to be seen from another perspective. Much of what you believe about your mind, your limits, and your ability to create reality is based on certainties no one taught you to question. You've heard 1,000 times that the mind is powerful, that you attract what you think. But what happens when science starts backing up what once seemed like mysticism? Quantum manifestation isn't an unfounded mystical concept. It's the convergence of quantum physics, neuroscience, and ancient wisdom. And right here is where the first internal rupture begins. Let me take you for a moment into how your brain processes reality. Neuroscience has shown that over 90% of your thoughts and decisions happen automatically, on autopilot, guided by neural circuits formed by past experiences, repeated emotions, and inherited beliefs. Think about this. Every day, even though you believe you're deciding freely, your brain is reproducing the same pattern as yesterday. It's as if you have an invisible script dictating your emotions, your reactions, even the opportunities you manage to perceive. And here's where quantum physics enters the picture, because at the subatomic level, reality isn't fixed or predetermined. It's a field of infinite possibilities, waiting to collapse in one direction according to the frequency you emit. What they've taught you as caution or prudence is often nothing more than a sophisticated form of self-censorship. Let me explain. The brain seeks to protect you from pain, rejection, failure. But in that attempt to protect you, it also locks you in the familiar, in what's safe but limiting. They've told you to only take a step if you have certainty, if everything is under control. But quantum manifestation, and here's the paradox, occurs precisely when you dare to move without guarantees, aligning your energy before your circumstances. Isn't it fascinating that everything you considered logical for your safety could also be the barrier preventing your expansion? Maybe you feel a small internal conflict right now. One part of you resists. It wants to keep believing it's necessary to understand everything before acting. Another part, quieter but deeper, suspects that only by releasing control do you access new realities. Allow yourself to feel that discomfort, because it's the door to real expansion. The true saboteur isn't fear of the unknown, It's the comfort of the known. That's why what you thought was protecting you was actually limiting you. The next time you feel something holding you back or that you need to wait for the perfect condition, remember, the quantum field responds to the frequency of your inner state, not the perfection of your plan. Your brain may try to keep you safe, but your soul knows you came to experience more. And that conflict, if you look at it directly, can transform into the beginning of a new cycle. The invisible enemy, walking beside you. There's an enemy that's traveled with you for years, though sometimes you manage to forget it for a moment. Other times you feel it so close it seems like second skin. It's the voice that, just when you feel the impulse to move forward, whispers reasons to doubt yourself, to break, to search for a new excuse. This invisible enemy doesn't carry a proper name. It adopts 1,000 forms: perfectionism, fear of error, distrust, fierce self-criticism. But deep down, it's always the same. An energy sabotaging your progress, a presence convincing you with arguments that sound like truth, that you're not enough. Quantum manifestation, though it seems like magic, is profoundly human because it confronts you with this internal critic, with that persistent echo coming from the past and all the patterns you carried without questioning. Think for a moment. How many of your most important decisions were postponed, not for lack of opportunity, but because of that internal sensation of not being ready, not deserving, not knowing enough? What many ignore is that this enemy wasn't born with you. It's not an original essence, but an accumulated reflection of all the external voices that at some point in your history became internal. They're phrases heard as a child, gestures of disapproval, silences from others that you interpreted as signals that you weren't capable or valuable. As we grow, the mind, that biological marvel, does what it knows best: protect us from pain by repeating the known, even if the known is an invisible prison. The neural pathways sustaining internal criticism are reinforced every time you stop before an authentic desire. Without realizing it, your reality shrinks to the narrow space of your inherited fears. Quantum physics teaches that at the subatomic level, no possibility is closed until you choose it. But most people choose without knowing it, repeating the internal critic's script. Instead of vibrating with the frequency of expansion, your energy field tunes to the frequency of doubt, the "I can't," the "it's not the right time." The cruelest part is that voice is usually logical, rational, even persuasive. It doesn't shout, it whispers, dialogues, negotiates, and ends up convincing you that waiting is correct, that a bit more preparation will save you from pain. But the truth, and here's where neuroscience and quantum manifestation meet, is that the more you listen to that critic, the more you reinforce the cycle. The brain records that reaction and reproduces it each time with less resistance, making the familiar win over the new, even when the new is what your soul yearns for. Do you realize that voice isn't you? It's only the echo of who you were, of those who surrounded you and knew no better, of experiences that left marks but don't define your essence. You can feel fear and still move forward. You can hear doubt but choose not to be governed by it. And here's a simple, powerful tool you can start practicing right now: the 5-second rule. When you feel the impulse to do something small, a call, a message, a step, don't let your mind have time to sabotage you. Count mentally: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and act before the critic awakens. Action cuts inertia, interrupts the old circuit, and though at first it may seem insignificant, with practice it begins creating new roots in your brain, roots that no longer respond to fear, but to your conscious intention. Let this idea settle. You don't have to fight the internal critic, just recognize it, honor its origin, and release it with each micro-action. You're not the inherited fear, you're not the borrowed doubt. You are who chooses at every moment whether to reproduce the past or open yourself to new possibilities. Quantum manifestation happens when you stop identifying with that voice and start listening to the other, the voice of your dormant potential. Why time won't wait for you to feel ready. Stop for a second and let your breath return to its natural rhythm. Maybe while listening to the description of the internal critic, something inside you stirred, as if recognizing that much of your story has been conditioned by alien voices. But beyond those voices, there's an ancient memory, silent but firm, that has never been completely extinguished. The memory of your authentic self. Deep down, even in moments of greatest doubt, something within you knows that greatness, courage, and clarity aren't learnings you must acquire, but memories you can activate. You don't have to become someone new to access your power. Everything you need already dwells within you, waiting for the opportunity to manifest. Those who've felt this, who've experienced that inexplicable spark of certainty amid chaos, know that instant is unmistakable. It's as if for a moment you remember a version of yourself that's indomitable, intuitive, and resilient, one that has overcome trials before that today seem impossible. Those who dare to remember are those who understand that true power doesn't come from perfection, but from vibrational honesty, from coherence between what they feel and what they allow themselves to express. And it's that memory of the higher being inhabiting you that sustains you even when everything else wavers. Quantum manifestation isn't a destiny reserved for a few initiates. It's the natural consequence of living from authenticity, from that internal core that needs no permission to exist. You don't have to wait to be different or more prepared or for the perfect moment to arrive. The moment is this one, because real life doesn't stop or wait. If you manage to reconnect with that memory of who you already are in essence, every decision, however small, begins to be charged with power. And that power is magnetic, contagious. It's felt in your energy, in your gaze, in your capacity to sustain yourself even when nothing outside seems to change. Give yourself permission to recognize it now. You don't need more external proof or grandiose signs. It's enough to observe how far you've already come, how many times, despite fear, you decided to move forward. That's not chance or luck. It's your spiritual memory manifesting. Allow that certainty to grow, to accompany you like a lighthouse when doubts return. Because every time you choose to inhabit yourself, quantum manifestation begins functioning effortlessly, like a silent law responding only to the truth of your being. The future version of you is watching. Imagine for a moment that you can observe your life from the future, not as a simple spectator, but as the protagonist who, years ahead, looks back and observes the turning points, the small acts of courage, and also the moments when you let opportunities pass due to fear or habit. This visualization isn't a trivial exercise. It's the bridge quantum manifestation builds between your present and that still malleable future. In this instant, here where you breathe, your story forks in two directions. One where you choose to move forward even without certainties. Another where you keep postponing until life becomes too much like a soulless repetition. Think about this. Every action you don't take today, every conversation you avoid, every decision you postpone, it doesn't disappear. It simply accumulates in a kind of invisible account. And one day, your future self will look you in the eyes and ask, why didn't you dare when it was time? The most painful thing isn't failing, it's never trying. It's not making mistakes, but allowing comfort or fear to decide for you. Quantum physics teaches us that every observer, with their attention and energy, collapses one of infinite possibilities. You're not a leaf dragged by the wind. You're the one who holds in your hands the power to choose at every instant where your reality tilts. Quantum manifestation happens when, instead of repeating the past, you consciously choose to collapse new possibilities. That's why the lost opportunity isn't just an isolated event, but a vibration that leaves a mark. Every time you say later, you reinforce the pattern of waiting. And that pattern, over time, becomes an invisible prison. In contrast, when you dare to move, even with fear, even if the step is small and the direction uncertain, you activate the potential future that before only existed as longing. It's the tomorrow you who will thank you for not letting inertia decide. And it's also that you who can look back free of regret, knowing you honored time, courage, and the opportunity to exist. This isn't about generating fear of regret, but recognizing truth. Life doesn't wait. Energy doesn't stop. The quantum field responds to every decision you make here and now. When you postpone, you don't just choose comfort. You choose, unknowingly, a reality of stagnation, of postponed dreams, of an existence repeating yesterday in a different disguise. But when you choose to act, even though your mind screams doubts, even though the internal critic insists, you create a fissure in routine, a crack where light can enter. I invite you in this instant to visualize two versions of yourself, one that surrenders to fear and postpones until there's nothing new left to feel, another that, though trembling, takes the step, makes the call, starts the project, confesses the desire. Which of these versions will thank you in the future, and which will silently blame you for not daring? If any of this resonates with you, if you feel that mixture of urgency and hope, make it visible. Like this video, not as a simple click, but as an act of collective resonance. Every gesture counts. Every micro decision adds up. Allow the energy of those in this space to multiply and sustain you, because here you're not alone. We are many who choose each day to collapse the possibility of a more authentic life, and the first step always begins now. The hidden code. Why action comes before clarity. There's no true transformation without action. This is the least popular but most powerful paradox of quantum manifestation. You can learn everything, visualize, meditate, heal wounds, understand the physics behind the collapse of realities, but nothing activates if you don't take a step, even if imperfect, even if you lack total clarity. We've been taught to believe preparation is a state prior to real life, that first we must feel ready and only then can we move. But the truth is, clarity never arrives before action. Action creates it. Imagine yourself on a staircase wrapped in fog. You see the first step, but the next ones only appear when you place your foot, when you allow yourself to advance despite uncertainty. This is the hidden key distinguishing those who truly transform their lives from those who only accumulate information. They act before feeling ready, knowing confidence builds step by step, that no plan is infallible, and perfection exists only as fear's excuse. Quantum manifestation responds to honest movement, to vibrational coherence between what you intuit and what you allow yourself to do. The universe doesn't reward your stored intentions, but the energy you mobilize, the micro-decisions becoming clear signals for the quantum field. When you choose to move, even doubting, even feeling something's missing, you send the most powerful frequency, that of the expanding being, the being prioritizing advancement over accuracy. Remember all those moments when a small action opened an unexpected door. It might have been a call, a message, a registration, a conversation. It seemed like nothing, but they were the beginning of a new cycle. The universe responds after your step, never before. Synchronicity doesn't present itself to those waiting for guarantees, but to those demonstrating with their energy they're willing to be an active part of the process. That's the true code of quantum manifestation. The path never reveals itself completely beforehand. It builds with each authentic decision, each leap outside the known zone. And here's where I want to propose something concrete, because I know many seek structure to sustain what they've begun transforming. The path is the digital product I've created to accompany you precisely in that delicate stretch, moving from inspiration to sustained action. It's a guide designed for those who don't want more theory but real accompaniment, for those who feel their potential is already awake but need a framework to help maintain course. If this resonates with you, the link is in the description. It's no coincidence I mention it now. Those who reach this point in the video are those who already know from experience that the only thing separating intention from reality is the courage to take the next step. You don't need to see the entire staircase, just the next step. You don't need guarantees, just a moment of honesty with yourself. A small but firm act interrupting infinite waiting. Let the fog dissipate as you advance. The path reveals itself in movement, and the quantum field always responds to the vibrational commitment of one who acts. That's what makes you a creator, not a spectator of your life. You're part of something bigger. I want you to know you're not alone in this process. Every person arriving here, every seeker, every restless soul choosing to transform their reality adds to a collective field much larger than you imagine. Quantum manifestation, though it seems a personal and silent experience, is actually a phenomenon of group resonance. Every time you share this video, you don't just help the message reach farther, you contribute to elevating the frequency of everyone in this space, sowing collective consciousness and opening doors for those still seeking that first impulse. This channel exists because we are many choosing to expand and create a vibrational community where the invisible and concrete embrace, where words become bridges and silences are also part of healing. Here, your energy matters. Your process, your story, your intention have real value. That's why I want to invite you to leave in the comments one word representing your intention today. It could be trust, action, release, rebirth, or any word summarizing what your soul needs to manifest. Now, those words aren't simple letters. They're the foundation of our group quantum field, an invisible network strengthening with each contribution. Sharing this message is sowing collective consciousness, taking one more step toward the greater purpose uniting us, and remembering together that true transformation occurs when we dare to resonate in tune with other awakened hearts. Your moment is now. There's something sacred in this instant, a kind of silent certainty traversing everything said and unsaid. If you made it this far, you already have the key. The moment is now, not tomorrow, not when everything falls into place. Destiny doesn't wait for perfect conditions. You don't need to be different, wiser, or stronger. Everything you were searching for has somehow already begun manifesting in you from the precise second you chose to listen to this message to the end. Don't ignore what you feel. Allow yourself to inhabit this new space of possibility, even if uncomfortable, even if your mind can't explain everything. Let expansion continue. Let your soul's vibration settle and carry you to the next cycle, because the world needs what only you can offer. If this vision resonates with you, if you feel this space is also your path, subscribe. Do it as a gesture of recognition toward your own process and allow this awakening to keep growing. With each encounter, new content will come, new experiences, more open doors for those choosing to advance together. Today, here, you choose your own expansion, and that choice, believe me, makes all the difference.